All right then, everyone. The return of NEF1 is upon us. We are here for round one of the Season 8 Championship now. Feels mad saying Season 8. The return of NEF1, and we will be kicking off Season 8 with a 50% race around Australia. Albert Park with the new revised layout, Q1, Q2 and Q3 is the usual format, but a brand new season on a brand new game for New Era F1 Esports. A couple of lineups, you will recognize a couple of lineups that are brand new. Everyone basically has moved team as well, apart from the reigning, defending NEF1 champion Onracek, who chose to stay with Mercedes for this campaign, as No Larks in his new McLaren outfit becomes the first car out on track this season, along with Lil Drips in the Sauber. I believe there was a little movement down from the Red Bull garage as well, but not gonna get into any formalities. We're just gonna get this straight underway with hopefully what is a brilliant race to come here around Albert Park on a game which people are up and down about. This game, really. Some people really like it, some people really do not. It's a revised handling model, which they also revised back to F1 23 after people didn't like the change that they made. It's brilliant, really. People complain that there's no change in the F1 games to change the handling model, and then people are complaining they changed it. Absolutely brilliant. So they changed it back, and people do not like this new handling model either, but it should provide for some entertaining racing. We did a pre-season race last week out in Spain, and the racing was different, absolutely, but actually really enjoyable to watch. So then, No Larks is going to lead this first lap around the Albert Park circuit in his McLaren. It's a lovely, actually really lovely orange and purple helmet. That Samo Bamo is going to be third across the line, actually, as Little Drips in that Sauber is going to be second to cross the line. But No Larks then for the first flying lap of this season. What is he going to be able to produce? Driver which is looking rapid on this game. There might be a couple of changes throughout this season, really, in terms of pace. With Squidge looking like an early favourite, maybe even for a pole position and a win here. In Australia. It's been looking rapid. No Larks looks like he's improved a bit on his pace as well. Maybe Spenclose able to follow his teammate Squidge up the order. Those two remain in the same team, at least with each other. They are moving to Red Bull, the former Williams lineup. But those three look rapid around here. Nasty looking good as well. Onracek from the early viewings on this game and on this particular track as well, not as quick really. So we'll see how it goes, but he still managed to win the race that we did last week out in Barcelona. So don't count on the check out, but on the time trial times around this place, not looking as mighty as a couple of the front guys at the moment. But obviously, that is just practice. It's all going to come down to what happens over the next couple of hours. As then Nolar's about to finish off the first flying lap of this season, we're about to get our first lap time of the season. Overtake mode enabled, DRS enabled going down the straight, and it's a 117.773 to kick things off. Speaking of kicking things off, Little Drips for the first lap of his season, 119.087. As Squidge then with the fastest lap out of anyone so far. It's a 117.235, followed by 117.422 by his teammate. Red Bull looking strong early on, to be expected. NEF1 debutant Ginster's 83, along with Ollie Jelly. Brand new Haas lineup, not quite the same as we predicted it would be in the pre-season launch, with that guy Sean dropping out last minute, but Ginster's 83 joining up today. Hopefully he's going to have a good one around Australia then in his Haas for his NEF1 debut race. People usually don't have quiet debut races in NEF1. They either have really good ones or really poor ones. Let's hope Ginster has a good showing around here, but it's not been a perfect lap from him. It's going to be about a 122.271. As for the reigning NEF1 champion Onracek then, currently still in Mercedes. His rivals moved from, I can't remember when Nassi was last season. McLaren to Scuderia Ferrari. Let's see if that turns into a little battle. Mercedes versus Ferrari. And maybe if we have another Red Bull McLaren jumping in there as well, and it'd be the F1 2021 season all over again with an intense championship battle. As the two Ferraris swapping place with each other. That's not a Ferrari actually, that's a Haas and a Ferrari, because for some reason they've been coloured in the same. So that's going to be a bit weird on the minimap until they fix that particular issue. Ooh, so little slip on the brakes there for Undercheck, but he manages to keep that nice and tidy. Now into this very tricky last sector. Nice and early on the power through this last corner though. DRS opens early. Let's see what he's going to be able to do now when it truly counts. And if that's not a sign of things to come, 1:16.636 for the reigning champion, and he's absolutely blown everyone out of the waters. Let's see what... let's hope Nassi's able to produce a lap time similar to that. I believe Undercheck, though, was on a sort of soft tire, so there might be some tire discrepancy. I don't know quite what tire everyone's been on as of yet. As Iwatts is now going to start his first flying lap of the season in that RB. Wigan 71 then, teammate of former NEF1 champion Djokovic for this season, going back into Aston Martin. He's been there before. Wigan 71, 118.097, places his car up in 6th, a little bit behind No Larks, so he's looking pacey on this game. Well ahead of Sam Obama, 6.5 temps clear, thereabouts, as Nassi now on a flying lap in his blood red Ferrari. Oh, and that looked rapid going through the sweeping right-hander. Now he's getting a lovely little toe off an Aston Martin there. Might that have been... well, it would have been Wigan, obviously. Nice little toe down the back straight. Let's see what he's going to be able to produce on his set of medium tires. Worth pointing out, we know that Undercheck was on the softs for his flying lap. Not quite as tidy as you would have wanted to throughout the chicane. That's probably why Jamer out there with lap as well, a 117.330 in the RB, splitting the Red Bulls in P2 and P4. Very decent time from Jama there, who said previously didn't fancy this track whatsoever and didn't feel confident. That track, or that lap time, has kind of put a halt to those proceedings and those comments, as Nassi just gets a bit of slip going through the penultimate corner. That is going to hamper his lap time. Let's see what he's going to be able to produce. It's going to be a 1:17 flat. And on a set of mediums, he bolts on a set of softs. He's giving Undercheck a run for his money, if not a little bit more. So that is a very good lap time from Nassi 31 there. A little bit quicker than Squidge as well. I believe actually did go out on a set of medium tires. Hybrid 472K then in the McLaren Holy Reunion, Unholy Reunion. We'll have to wait and see. The team he had originally debuted for an EF1 in back in Season 2. Did his first full season regardless. He had an awful season last time he went with McLaren. Let's hope he has a little bit of a better season this time round. And he is showing really early promise on this game actually, so maybe Hybrid can just cook up a season, cook up a race every now and again, and really get himself going. Had a really decent season last season out, but he'll want to improve on it for sure. Going through the last corner now then, and I predict he's going to be starting another flying lap. So I'm just receiving a couple of messages here and there. Looked like he was going a little bit sideways going through that corner. I'm at the moment just... Okay, so we're having a couple of people with technical difficulties at the moment, so we'll be working on sorting that out. So I'll be just disappearing for a moment. Hybrid has backed out of his lap. It's been invalidated as well. As my goodness, the first race usually comes with a little bit of chaos, and we are having that at the moment. A couple of people with technical difficulties, a couple of people with hardware difficulties as well. We're working on trying to bring everyone into the lobby to begin with. As Darren, unfortunately, with hardware issues, hopefully he'll be able to sort it. Djokovic has now been able to join the session. Let's hope he can stay in it. And hopefully it allows him to select a car, as it should do really in Q1. Squidge 2017 now on the 16.731. If that's set on a set of mediums, then we've got a fight on, because Ondracek 16.636 on a set of softs. Squidge not far off that lap time, 1/10 on a set of medium tires. We've got a fight on here, ladies and gentlemen, because Jesus Christ, is that good pace. Nassi, couple attempts behind him, medium tires on that Ferrari as well. As Djokovic has now been able to get into the lobby and in his car, thankfully enough. The two-time NEF1 champion will be competing tonight as well. Welcome into Season 8, we say to Djokovic. As here we go, a BT run in the final corner now in the Mercedes. See what kind of run he can build off of. He's going straight up in P6 as a BT with 17.390. Very decent lap from him. This is one of the tracks as well. I should mention that we're probably going to have slightly bigger pace gaps on than we will for the coming weeks. Australia really one of those tracks on this game, evidently, where everyone seemingly just, a couple of people seemingly, it just really clicks for them. For a couple of people, just not quite usually going aggressive enough on the setup that it really works. You need a really pointy car for this track. And I noticed that when I started using another driver setup in this league, just doing a bit of practice, I gained almost 2 seconds just with a setup change. So really, it does make a massive difference as Ginsters improve up to a 120.4, but still a ways off the front guys. Djokovic at the moment out on track in that, what is that helmet he's using? It's the Fernando Alonso helmet. For joining late. As we're getting reports of a possible wet race, dry qualifying throughout though. Keep in mind we're going to be losing one car through this session. At the moment that is Darren Styles, who's not made it out on track yet. Darren Style, I've actually bullied people for saying Darren Styles. It is Darren Style. Who's currently sitting in P16. He needs to get a lap time on the board or he will be facing elimination early here in Q1. Q2 obviously is going to set the top 10 up for Q3, and it's a top 10 shootout for pole position come Q3, lasting 12 minutes time. Djokovic just weaving a little bit, trying to get his tyres fired up. Going past former championship rival, if I'm not mistaken, there on the check as well. No, that was actually a BT. Don't think those two have really ever done battle, really, if I'm not mistaken, a BT and Djokovic. I can't seem to remember anything of significance going on between the two. So here we go then, Djokovic to start his first long lap of the season, see what he's going to be able to deliver in the Aston Martin. So here we go, Nassi set the fastest lap of the session so far. It's a 16.579 on a set of medium tyres. Ondracek was going to have to really pull out more pace out of the bag here, or he might even be as Little Drips has been disqualified from the session for parking in a dangerous location. He's stuck in a gravel trap most likely, and that is not going to be him out of the session because he has the time to get through. No, he's not stuck in a gravel trap, is he? He's not stuck in a gravel trap, he's just stuck, is Little Drip. So that is the first DNF of, or the first DSQ of this season, weirdly enough. Let's go back with Djokovic, see what's what. As Ondracek is now retired from the session in the pit lane, mind you, so we'll be seeing him again now. Like has done the same, opting that they will go through. They're not confirmed to go through, actually, with Lil Drips' disqualification. That's actually placed him, and this is how it should work. It's disqualified him, so he will not be going through into Q2, which means Darren Style now will. He's having major hardware issues. We're getting reports of Darren Style as well. As Djokovic goes up into P8, 17.650. More than a second off provisional pole position and on a tyre deficit as well. So Djokovic at the moment with a little bit of trouble in paradise in the Aston Martin. See if he can hook it up a little bit better in Q2. But Darren Style with major hardware issues. Let's hope he can get that sorted or get some decent pace on a pad. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. First time we've seen the Alpine out on track in all of its Miss Glory. That is not an attractive car, unfortunately, as it has been many a season now. The Alpine really has been one of the best looking cars on the grid. As Little Drips was letting people through in a fast lap. Yeah, it's going to do that if you stop, unfortunately. It's a bit of a shame. Okay, so a couple of people are now retiring. I'm actually really interested to see how this plays out with Ondrejek and Nasi. Obviously, main culprits from last season as well. Nasi and Ondrejek finished P2 and P1 respectively in the drivers. Ondrejek carrying Mercedes on his back in the constructors last season as well. But it is going to play out nicely, this. At the moment, Nasi quicker than Ondrejek on another set of tyres. This the season when Nasi just is able to take that final step into a championship winning position. It's not impossible. Darren Styles invalidated this lap, so we'll need to go again. As both the Haas guys... Well, at the moment, there's no pressure on them to actually set a fast lap, but they would like to get further up the order, I'm sure. But it is going to be interesting for Ondrejek. He might have to pick the pace up quite a bit, if nothing else, just around this track. But with the pace he was showing in Barcelona, this might be a one-off as well. As said, Australia on this game, one of the tracks where you either seem to, just thrive or sink. Wonder if it might be one of those tracks for Ondrejek that he's not really comfortable at. We'll wait and see how it goes. A long way to go still. 18 races and a lot of points to be divided. As Ollie Jelly then comes around the final corner, let's see what he's going to be able to do for the second running into Haas. And it's going to be an improvement for sure. It's going to be an improvement up to P11 ahead of Sam Obama on an 18.177. And that's the first competitive lap time we've seen this season from Ollie Jelly. A decent lap indeed, not far off Wiggins, 71, Hybrid, Djokovic. Yeah, that's a very decent time. Sam Obama's retired from this session in the pit lane as well. He's not going to go out, as I believe Ginsters is going to want to go out again. That name's going to take a little bit of practice for me to actually be able to speak up. It's a little bit of brake squealing from Ginsters there. He's braking for turn 3. Gonna go on board with him for the rest of this lap. Q1 is basically drawn to a close now. Not many people out on track. Most of the people are coming in. I believe Darren's actually just coming across the line. See what he's going to be able to do. It's going to be a nothing lap, really. 120.589. Not going to land him anywhere above 15th. But will be going nice and safely through into the next part of qualifying. But at the moment, it is the biggest field spread we've seen in NEF1 for quite some time. But it's the first race of a new season, and a couple of people are having issues as well. So we'll see how those lap times just come down. Ginsters at the moment setting into Sector 3, or setting through Sector 3 should be said. Sector split just out of Turn 9, Turn 10 chicane. Using quite a bit of ERS though by the look of things. Is that just a little bit too much? Because you do need that deployment going down this back straight. You're going to lose quite a bit of time. And ERS is obviously something they've complicated a little bit throughout this season. Red light flashing does improve by about a tenth. Gets him a bit closer to iWatts, but still over a second off. So then that is the end of the first qualifying session. I don't believe Darren's on a competitive lap, is he? No, he's not. So that's the end of the first qualifying session. Then it's Nasi leading the way then from Ondrejek and Squidge. I believe that's a site that Nasi would have fancied just a couple of more times towards the closing stages of last season, and he might have been crowned champion. Wasn't to be. Undercheck in P2, followed by Squidge in P3. Really promising pace from the Red Bull driver, with Spen close in P4. No Larks in P5, leading McLaren's way. As Jamar with a very decent session as well. P6, followed by a BT, Djokovic, Hybrid, and Wigan makes up the top 10. Ollie Jelly with a decent lap there at the end to see him up into P11 ahead of Samo Bamo. Iwatts in 13th, followed by Ginster, and Darren Stahl Little Drips was disqualified. After being parked out on track. We have received a clip of it. Might be some sort of game glitch. I've not quite had a chance to look at it yet. But we will be looking at it after the race, checking for any potential game issues. But then, Nasi31 takes the first session of the season, followed by Undercheck rather close. But there is a tire deficit there. And then Squidge just another 10th back from Undercheck. Also as well, a little bit of a late call, but thank you James Taylor, that is followed by Jamar, for subscribing to the channel yet again. Thank you very much, pal. And if you're not already at least followed to the NEF1 Twitch channel, please make sure to do so, as it would massively help us out. Just trying to get to 200 followers. Well, it would be nice reaching that goal before the end of the season. We'll wait and see. Gonna try to expand our social media presence a little bit this season. See if we can't get those view numbers up a little bit. But if you're enjoying the stream, then please let us know. So when Q2 is about to commence, then a couple of people going through on medium tires. I'm actually quite surprised. I would have maybe saved the mediums for Q2 if I was the fastest guys, but we'll see. See if the session now closes up a little bit, or if we're going to have a rather big divide here in Q2 as well. Session length has decreased from 18 minutes down to 15, but still quite a bit of time in order to be able to set a lap. So no one's going to be too stressed. At least time for, well, 2 well-executed runs. At least 2 well-executed runs. As people are coming out of pit lane, that is both the Mercedes drivers of Undercheck and a BT. I believe a Red Bull, Ferrari might have already come out. No, it's not a Ferrari, it's a Haas, because they're the same color. As long with the Williams of Samo Bamo. That is already proving a major annoyance with them having the same color. It's proving a major annoyance. But it is what it is, nothing we can do about it as of yet. Hopefully they rectify that in order in time for next race, which, if I'm not mistaken, was around Bahrain, a track which usually delivers some rather good racing in NEF1. Actually, Saudi Arabia might be. We'll look at the calendar in a little bit. But people are heading out on track, actually at somewhat of a record pace here at the moment. Everyone almost out on track, apart from Nolox, Darren and Iwatts are just holding station. Also, a lot of lockups there as well. A lot of brake squealing. I don't know if that's ABS not doing what it should. Wait and see. Maybe it's turned it off, actually. I believe he had it on for last season, but I'm not quite sure now that I'm thinking about it. Here we go then. Samo Bamo for the first lap of Q2. Nice and fast through the first corner. That needs to improve a little bit in this time if he wants to make it into Q3, though. As I believe this is also the track where he made his NEF1 debut, Samo Bamo, if I'm not mistaken, or Australia last season out. Might be a nice little bit of a homecoming for him. Williams, the only team at the moment with only one driver in the lineup. We'll hopefully have that rectified for you until next week. But it is a little bit hard finding drivers on this game at the moment, unfortunately. As Nasi, currently on a set of soft tires, is heading through turn 1. As Samo Bamo down to 6th gear through the chicane, actually. Look nice and tidy, however. Let's actually get the lap data up as well, so we can see what's going on. And I fancy getting the telemetry up for this. Yeah, we are getting deployment numbers and everything on the telemetry, so we'll actually be able to give you, as the viewers, a little bit of insight. I'm not going to be talking about that whatsoever, because obviously they'll give the drivers I mentioned a little bit of an unfair disadvantage. but I will be showing that just so you can see what is going on every now and again, perhaps. Not a guarantee, we'll see how it goes. Sam Obama, 18.1 to start off the session. We're going to see that eclipsed rather quickly, I reckon, because the two Mercedes are just coming up to that line. So I believe Undercheck has gone ahead of a BT, maybe switching place on the outlap. As a BT has invalidated his lap, that will explain why Undercheck is now ahead of him. 16.877 for the NEF1 champion. Actually, decent helmet for a champion, that as well, with the pattern going across it. I don't know what you'd call it in English. Yeah, decent helmet design there from Undercheck. Snazzy in the Ferrari has also invalidated his first lap. As Squidge goes fast at 16.338, half a second quicker than Undercheck. That's a statement if I've ever seen one, and this is in Q2. We're starting to get closer to competitive running here. If we have a wet race, it's not going to speak for much, really, but, ooh. It's not going to speak for much, perhaps, if Undercheck is running a wet setup prepared for the rain during the race, but Squidge at the moment, definitely one of the favourites for pole position. Nasty doesn't have a lot of battery, but it'll be able to recharge that going through the corners, and this is one of the benefits on this game. The ERS games, you can just wear someone down for laps on laps on laps. That's gone, because you can now fully recharge the battery in basically a lap, if you fancy. Especially if you dare run a high level of engine braking as well, which I believe you will have to do around this place. Say BT has gone faster than his teammate as well, up to P2. Let's see if Nassi's going to be able to match those times or even beat them. Gets very close, but not quite close enough. But it wasn't a perfect lap that from Nassi. He is definitely going to be able to find that a little bit of time. And will we see Nassi lead in the championship in about an hour and a half? There is a very serious chance we will. Squidge 2017 also fighting at the very front now, and I believe that is how it's going to be on this game. He is showing some serious pace on this game, which is absolutely lovely to see. So no Lurk's on an outlap, Darren's on an outlap, iWatt is out on a fast lap. In that, on this game, really aesthetically pleasing RB. I don't quite like it in real life as much, especially due to the chrome and white. I don't really think those two colors blend whatsoever. Had him just removed the chrome and had that white, or vice versa, would have been a banging livery, but it's just a bit weird for me. But from the onboards, it looks absolutely splendid. Running a new number this season as well as I was, number 96. There's a lot of color with that green and yellow helmet as well, with the blue and red and white and chrome and somewhat green car of the RB, or the V carb as many people call it. So here we go then, running sideways through the fast right-handed corner of turn, I believe it's 15. It's not going to be the fastest way around there, and it shows on his lap time 18.563. Needs to improve. Both Ollie Jelly and Ginster at the moment having some difficulties around this place. Ollie Jelly should be able to extract a bit of time from the Haas. Ginster at the moment not having a brilliant qualifying session in his debut. And I believe this is the first time as well, if I'm not mistaken, that he's just turned traction control fully off. So that could be a little bit of confidence thing on his throttle mapping as well. But always fair play to anyone who just turns an assist off like that. As my TV is warning me it's going to shut off in about 5 minutes, let's just prevent that. Hopefully that's not displayed on stream, I don't think it will be. As I was his teammate now out on his first fast lap of the session, he's getting a lovely tow from his teammate as well. Needs to get out of the way before the chicane though. I don't know if that was actually a spotted little slipstream or what went on, but iWatt got out of the way very hastily indeed. This is a tricky braking zone heading into the tight right-hander really. Easy to just dip a left-hand wheel on the grass and that will unsettle your car enough to just send you flying like that. You cannot brake with a tire on the grass on this game, or it will do that to you. And SFLY Jamar just experienced a little bit of pain in an awkward timing in this session. Honor check at the moment, out hunting for time. He's about to come up to the sector 1 split, we'll see how it goes. Just about equaling his previous best. So through the left-right chicane, then beautiful racing line through there actually, making the most of the racing width available, or the track width available. Nice and tidy on the braking. Early on the power, you can actually be very early on the power on this game if you just know how to approach the corners. You don't want to be doing too many things at once on this game is really the key to it. But when you've opened up the steering quite a bit, then you can just mash the throttle really, and the tires are going to have grip for days. And then it's going to be not an improvement actually for Undercheck. It's going to be a 10th of a second slower. Behind Nolark's ABT, now actually behind Djokovic as well has gone faster. And improved up to P4, 16.679, which kind of puts it out a little bit of the major where we had for him going through Q1. Djokovic is up there with the front runners in terms of pace. Early on, but if you do fancy giving a prediction after qualifying, probably we'll have to wait until Q3, but who is going to be competing for this championship? It would be a fun little guessing game at the end of qualifying here. I'm getting quite a fair few possible candidates at the moment. But Squidge definitely starting to place himself up there. Nasty, I think we can definitely count on. Ondercheck, I think, is going to improve as the session and as the season progresses. If he's down in P6 on merit right now, I don't think he's going to stay there. As Hybrid goes up to P8, we're looking at this switch now. Ollie Jelly, Darren Style, iWatts, Ginster, and Jamar are the people we're looking at who at the moment are out of qualifying. Sam Obama right on the cusp by 100th of a second actually on Ollie Jelly. It's a relatively competitive top 10 at the moment, especially a competitive top 9. Still well over a second separating them though, but good little battles going on throughout the place. This is a nice little battle, a BT and Djokovic on pace, separated by 7 thousandths of a second. As that's a lot of lag for Spenclose going through the fast corner. I have no clue what was going on there. No clue what was going on, but it looked a little bit weird for sure. As here we go, then Hybrid coming onto the back straight. And not going to be able to do anything with that lap after his performance going through the sharp right-hander following the back straight. I think it's lap abandoned if that wasn't an in-lap. Ginstus at the moment currently going through, and this looks like it might be a little bit of a better lap. Needs to... it's a tricky last corner, that. I think he needs to just approach that with a little bit more of a piss-off attitude really on the throttle, but it does improve by 2 seconds, so that's a big improvement from Ginster. And I think just over the course of a race around here, you're going to start seeing improvement from basically everyone as well. Everyone's going to be more comfortable by the end of this race than the start. And it's going to be a noticeable improvement, I reckon, as well. Want to point out as well, that's actually beautiful color matching from SFLY Jamer with his helmet and livery there. It's actually looks really good. The blue is spot on in terms of livery in the helmet. So that's a nice helmet design there from SFLY Jamer. Not too many designs to pick from as of yet. And he's about to put in a lap that gets him into the top 10 as well. P9 pushes Sam Obama out of qualifying temporarily. And now he needs to improve by a couple of tenths of a second in order to get Wigan out of that top 10. And Wigan, who at the moment is on the lap, and 2 cars are ahead of him, they'll be needing to get out of the way. I don't think either of them are on a fast lap. And one of them, I believe, happens to be his teammate, who's going to give him a lovely little tow down the back straight. Unless he's also on a flying lap. No, he's not. Djokovic gets out of the way of his teammate and father, Wigan 71. As Squidge has retired from this session might be worth adding, feeling he is safe with that time, and I'm inclined to agree. Nasty's out on track as well. We'll keep an eye on that lap as Wigan just gets a tank slapper on through the last corner, and that might hinder his qualifying session to the point where that might cause him to go out. Now, depends on how much fuel he's got. He needs to recharge on this lap and go again, but does he have enough fuel to do so? Is the massive question, as I believe Hybrid went flying into the fast corner and could not control this car. We just saw the gist of that from Wigan's POV as a Mercedes goes by. I believe that was on the check, thankfully not on a fast lap, or it wouldn't be a clean one. As Nasty's going to have one more go at this to try to get P1 here in Q2, but we're not really interested, because it now falls on Ollie Jelly to improve by a couple of tenths of a second in order to push Wigan out of qualifying. Ginster's in the pit lane. It's going to be starting in P15. Nothing's going to be able to change that one. Let's hope he has a decent race. P15 could be an advantage on the grid here, really, not starting in the middle of it, especially if we do end up having wet conditions. But a little bit of a difficult qualifying session for him in his NEF1 debut. Oh, it's getting very close to the edge of the track. There's Ollie Jelly. Usually a sign of quite decent confidence, actually, daring to get that close to the grass for prolonged periods of time. Say Beat is now retired from the session as well. Got a McLaren quite closely ahead of Ollie on track. Don't know who it was. Oh, so here we go. A little bit of a sideways moment for Ollie Jelly coming round. I believe that's turn 11, then through turn 12, 13, and turn 14 is the last corner. Sorry. Sounds right. Now that I'm saying it, it's Ollie Jelly. I believe it was just improving there as well. And no, that is session over. Just gets the power down that little bit too early. And the session concludes for the Haas in P12. He is out of qualifying. Nasty's gone quickest out of anyone, faster than Squidge by 3 tenths of a second. Now Samo needs to put a lap together here in order to push Wigan out of qualifying. Darren is not going to be able to do so. He is out as well. It is going to be no better than P13 for the Alpine, but Samo Bamo is going to be able to hook up these final few corners, get Wigan out here early in qualifying. Is it going to be Q2 or Q3 for Samo Bamo? 117.6 is the time to beat. Samo cannot do it. It gets close, but not close enough. 2 tenths of a second. Wigan will be going through into Q3 as we say goodbye to Samo Bamo, Ollie Jelly, Darren Style, iWatts, and Ginster. And we'll see them again for the Grand Prix. I was about to say Q3, but they've not qualified for Q3. That's a bit ironic, that. It's been a while since I did commentary. I don't know if it shows. But then we'll see them again for the Grand Prix that is to come. But as for now, we turn our attention to the top 10 shootout that is to come. And that's going to be an enjoyable watch, I reckon. Especially... Oh, did I miss that? Or did Undercheck just pop that lap in at the end of the session, scaring everyone? Because a 15.868 at the end of this session is my goodness. So I believe Undercheck was just giving us a little bit to worry about at the beginning of this qualifying session, but I believe that pace has been sorted. Undercheck then takes the session over Nazi and Squidge. But my goodness, a 15.868. Let's see if anyone can get close to that in Q3. So then, Q3 time. It is clutch time for every single driver still in this session. For crying out loud, Undercheck. I thought we might had... Ollie Jelly, Wigan reports he was 4 times up, lost it on the last corner as well. Harsh, that last corner, incredibly harsh, but it's a sign of pace that is there still. I thought we were going to have a little bit of a story throughout the beginning of this season, maybe where Undercheck had to overcome adversity, really, and just find his feet on this game, but I believe he has already found his feet on this game, and he is, well, now with that lap, he's placing himself in, well, favourite spot to get pole position here. So if you thought he had fallen off, as I somewhat started to do after Q1, especially halfway through Q2, I was starting to get a bit worried for his pace, then he just pulls that out of the bag in the last possible moment, because I completely missed he was even out on the lap as well. They did that very under the radar, must be said. So BT's gone out on track first out on NEF1. He's followed by a Red Bull of Squidge, definitely one of the favourites pole position as well. Also with a helmet that, must be said, has been color-coded to perfection, so good job on doing that. Absolutely nailed that navy blue and how it looks. Wigan with a very, very Swedish helmet, which is always lovely to see. So then, reports of a possible wet race as well hanging over our shoulders. We'll see how that goes. I know people are specifically asking to not have a wet opening race this season, but let's see how it goes. Everyone is now out on track, including the two McLarens that are just coming out at the same time towards the latter stages. They're not going to have to yield to a BT who's going to come across them first. So then ABT is going to come round this final corner, get Q3 underway. We're actually going to have a little look at how he manages that battery and just see how it works on this game. So pay attention to the bottom of your screen there. I'm not going to say anything about it. But you can just see the way the battery recharges and well, and the way you want to use the deployment throughout these qualifying sessions as well. It's not as easy as just stick it in one mode and go in qualifying if you want to be competitive. Worth pointing out as well, what you're looking at is that yellow bar is displaying how much battery you actually have to use. The green bar is how much battery you're allowed to use over the course of one lap. So that is going to reset at the start-finish line. So right now it's gone through about half his allowed deployment. So you have to manage both of those entire... In a qualifying lap, you want to have those at the very bottom at the end of the lap, whilst never suffering a deficit throughout the lap as well. So it's a little bit of a strategy game. Looked a decent lap so far, it is for ABT. Now for these last couple of corners, still looking very stable through this last corner as well. Full throttle early on, which is what you need. And just a straight blasted line. This is going to be a relatively quick lap. 16.849. First lap of Q3 done. His teammate then is not going to be next across the line. That is going to be Squidge 2017, 16.244. Will actually need to go quite a bit faster than that, maybe for pole position. Spenclow's gone faster than him, 16.230. And where's that pace from Squidge really disappeared? We'll wait and see. Nassi's now about to cross the line. What's he going to be able to do? 15.886 is not quite quick of an undercheck in Q3. This time, though, undercheck 16.384. He needs to find that pace again for his second run. So that's curious. The pace that Undercheck put on display at the end of Q2, it's still there, but it's not there as evidently. Hybrid's about to come across the line as well. We'll have a look at that. And his teammate comes across the line at the exact same time. Hybrid goes a little bit slower. Nolax actually goes quite a bit faster. 16.257 places him in P4 ahead of Undercheck and ABT. Hybrid in P7 ahead of Wigan. Jamar is on a second flying lap as well. So is Djokovic. Oh, that's a fast aggressive approach to turn 10. Turn 11, sorry. It's a very aggressive approach from Djokovic, but at the moment seemingly working full throttle early on, and this could actually be a really fast lap from Djokovic. Really aggressive approach. It's going to be P6 for Djokovic, so not quite as quick as it looked. But just about a tenth slower than Undercheck, and I think Djokovic will be relatively happy with that, but definitely some room for improvement, obviously. Or would have been a P1. As well by Jamar Van coming around the final corner as of now. See where he places himself on the grid. And it's going to be P10, 17.680. Okay, so we have a top three, Vanassi, Spenklos and Squidge at the end of the first round of laps here. No Larks just behind Squidge by a couple of hundredths of a second. Wondercheck sitting in P5. Djokovic in P6, followed by BT, Hybrid, Wigan and Jamar. And if I say all of those names, it is a really competitive Q3. It's a really competitive Q3. So wait and see how this goes. Okay, so is there anything interesting going on at the moment? A beat is actually on the fast lap by the look of things. No, he's not. Just I said that. That's also... I've done that to Beatty once before, I reckon. I think it was in France when I said I think he should stay out and just then he comes into the pit lane, if I'm not mistaken. There's actually a short on that on YouTube if anyone want to fact check me, but that's about as bad a call. So if anyone fancies clipping that, it's once again prime TikTok content. Just I say, I think it's on a fast lap. Sector time shows up, and it's nowhere near a fast lap, actually. Second time I've done that to ABT. But he's the only car out on track at the moment. No, actually, Squidge has come out relatively early. Which is interesting, because track evolution on this game is a massive thing. It's a massive factor, and it can massively benefit your lap time. Squidge has come out maybe fueled for 2 runs. 4.5 minutes to go. Maybe come out as well with the chance of actually doing 2 full runs as well. We'll see. Rapid through the first corner. Lot of cab you can take around this place. You need to take a lot of cab around this place. Try to make those corners as short and not tight as possible. It's looking fast and aggressive at the moment for Squidge. Flat through this right-hander. Just a quick nib on the brakes for this next right-hander as well. Down to maybe 5th gear. Actually 6th through there. A little bit wide on the apex. Won't hurt his lap time too much. And then straight blast to the left-right chicane. 10, 9, 10, 10. So then Squidge 2017, 7th gear through the chicane, absolutely brilliant. ERS just slightly enabled there, DRS is enabled as well. That's really aggressive going through that final sector. Oh, just losing it a little bit in the exit, and that triggers him to just come into the pit lane immediately. A little mistake like that, and it's straight into the pit lane for Squidge to get another set of tyres on. We'll have time for 1 more run. Worth pointing out as well, for some reason I might be able to be heard in the lobby. Can anyone tell me if that's the case, and I'll try to figure out how to mute myself. Or I think you guys can mute me for use. I don't know quite why, but if I can actually be heard in the lobby, that's going to be incredibly distracting to everyone racing. If not, we'll continue on as normal. But the fact that I can just slightly hear myself is a worrying sign. Actually, I can hear myself through a little drip, so that's who I have to mute, as No Larks is on a flying lap and just loses slightly. So what I've got to do is, I believe I've got to... I can't even find them on my tab, which is a concern. Hopefully that doesn't go through on stream massively. So Djokovic then on a outlap as well, maybe just had his first flying lap ruined a little bit, so did No Larks. Everyone out on track except for Nasu, surely. Yeah, he's coming out of pit lane just now, and so is, I believe, a BT D would be coming out. Indeed, Spenclose is out, Squidge is out, everyone is out, and it is clutch time for pole position round Australia. And a game where overtaking is going to be a different sort of art, depending on how you use your battery. So it's going to be an interesting one, this. So apparently I am on game chat. I'll be working on my way to mute myself throughout this session. Might just be able to do that and the problem should be solved, hopefully. Let's hope it is. As here we go, Squidge is coming around the final corner on his outlap, so that should hopefully be sorted now. Squidge 2017 in P3 at the moment. No Larks is currently going through Sector 2 as well, see if he's going to be able to improve a little bit in his run. Djokovic going through what is now Sector 3. Where is everyone else? Hybrid is just about to finish up his last lap. He's going to have one more go actually if he messes something slightly up here. If he needs to, but battery plays a part as well, and he is out at the end of this lap. This is going to be the final run for Hybrid. P8 is all she wrote for the McLaren driver. Wigan is coming across the line just now. Then what's he going to be able to do? P9. Djokovic is about to come across the line. Is he going to be able to improve past Ondercheck? Yes, he is. Ondercheck is invalidated. Ondercheck will be starting in P6 at best. He is out of contention here. Squidge, what's he going to be able to do? That's a weird line from Squidge there. Not the fastest way around this track. Spenclose is out of contention as well. He's invalidated. Squidge needs to hook a lap up here. And at the moment, it looks relatively fast. Oh, he's not going to be fast. With a twitch coming out of the final corner. In pole position, we can declare, is Nassi's when he's halfway around the track. Squidge is not going to be able to convert into pole position. I think he might have been able to, unless he had that moment. But it is Nassi for pole position in the first race of the season. He's followed by the other Red Bull. That's a surprise if I've seen one of Spenclose, 64. He's followed by Squidge, No Larks, Djokovic, Ondercheck in P6, followed by ABT, as well by JMR in P8. Followed by Hybrid in P9, Wigan in P10. A lot of drivers there. A lot of drivers with invalidations come the end of the session. A little bit of a surprise really how many invalidations we had. Little bit of a surprise, but that is session over then. Nassi takes pole position away from Spenclose, Squidge, No Larks and Djokovic. Ondercheck outside the top 5 for the first time in qualifying in quite a long time. He's followed by BT, JMR, Hybrid and Wigan. So then, interesting qualifying session really, not close in the end because Nassi improved even further up to 15.595. That's a worrying pole position margin of about 7 tenths of a second if I'm not mistaken, 6 tenths of a second. Yeah, 6 tenths of a second, it's a worrying pole position margin there for Nassi, and if he can just run away with this pace, it's going to be interesting. But remember this, for the first time in NEF1, DRS will be enabled at lap 1. Instantly when you come across the line for the first time, DRS is going to be enabled. Now everyone listening to the race broadcast, keep in mind, do not ready up whilst on the grid until my go ahead. We'll just put that in chat as well. As there we go, Nassi with a 6.5 tenth advantage over Spenclose in P2, Squidge in P3, followed by No Larks, Djokovic, Ondercheck, BT, JMR, Hybrid and Wigan. Gap between P1 and P10, 1.6 seconds is just how good Nassi is. here around the Albert Park circuit. But I believe Squidge a bit out of position as well. Should have been fighting for that. Maybe Ondercheck should have been up there as well. So not quite representative maybe, but Nasi in pole position and prime pole position for this race. And it is raining for the first race in NEF1 Season 8. It is it's intermediate conditions, let's just say that, but we're gonna have Intes at the start, I'm quite sure. Let's sure actually everyone has the Intes on, because the game previously didn't allow you to put wets on. It has now. It's wet conditions for the first race on F1 24, which means we'll probably have a little bit of carnage at the start. It's going to be very, very interesting. Right, then I'm just going to sat waiting here for a minute until I'm just going for a quick break before we get the race underway. Just want to make sure no one triggers it in advance. This is a trigger a qualifying ban for the next attending race, which not ideal. Not ideal at all if that is the case. But wet conditions for the Australian Grand Prix. Get your predictions in. My predictions, a little bit of chaos. A little bit of chaos. We'll wait and see. No, Lox is just specified in the Discord, the private NEF1 Discord, that this is going to be interesting. That's one hell of a way to put it. I think it was like this the last time as well. Remind me if I'm wrong, anyone who was here in Season 4, the first season we did on F1 22, we opened the season around Australia, if I'm not mistaken, and it rained as well. Quite a lot of people here for Season 4, so please remind me if I'm wrong. But I seem to recall we had changeable conditions, we had rain to... we had wet dries during that race. So please correct me if that's mistaken, but I'm quite sure it's not. Right then, so what I'll be doing is I'll just be going away for about 2-3 minutes tops, and then as soon as I get back, we are in prime position to get this Australian Grand Prix started. We'll be right back with you in a couple of minutes for a full coverage of the Australian Grand Prix. And there we go, we are back, and we're just getting a couple of reports as well from drivers regarding that race in Season 4. Just getting reports back from Season 4 that that is followed by Jamar and ABT did have a little bit of contact on that day for Alpine as well as teammates. That is gonna be it's gonna be interesting for sure now. With changeable conditions, see what is going to happen. But then I can confirm that already a pass been given. Will be going racing in a couple of moments time, as Danny DC pops in chat as well, saying hello from the United States of America. So then an interesting Grand Prix is to come. If I'm not mistaken, 29 laps around the Albert Park circuit. It's going to be a relatively quick race, not too long a lap time around here. Decent chance of a safety car, though. We'll wait and see. It looks very dark, very gloomy, very, very overcast, and obviously the rain is here and ever present. See if it goes away for the race, but at the moment it's looking very, very dark. So then Nasi takes the formation lap from Spenclose and Squidge. If anyone is not practicing the rain for this race, they're not going to be enjoying this one whatsoever. And this might now be where Undercheck's potential wet weather setup could prove the difference. If he does have one on, might be throwing away, or might be just flying away from everyone here. And it also means DRS will not be in effect at the end of lap 1. DRS will be disabled until track conditions improve. Oh, and this is going to be interesting as well. Holly Jelly and Ginster both doing races for the first time with less traction than they used to, thanks to the traction control assist being limited in our league. So we'll see how they cope. Holly Jelly just getting a little bit unsettled by a curve there. Everyone's going to have to be a lot more cautious, really, on especially the first couple of laps until they get into a rhythm. Possible race strategies is a predicted one stop pitted around halfway through the race, lap 14 to 18. Nothing really interesting about the strategy. It's going to be mostly about pace, this one. Overtaking now without the aid of DRS could be difficult at a track which really promotes overtaking now with the removal of every single interesting corner on the track. It's kind of been hindered a little bit with this weather, which not ideal, but we'll see how it goes. Race start is going to be interesting. Nasi versus Spenclose versus Squidge and No Larks. So then everyone is lining up. No Larks just missed parking a little bit. So does Nasi. So does Djokovic. Means Spenclose is just getting a slight advantage there on that first row of the grid. And the run down to turn 1 could prove crucial. It's going to be Nasi, Spenclose or Squidge. Maybe even No Larks leading down into the first corner. We'll wait and see. But we won't have to wait long. The 5 lights are on. And it's lights on, away we go. Nasi gets away very well indeed. Spenclose does not. Has a little bit of wheel spin, and now his teammate's going to come straight at him on the start. And that almost looked planned from the two Red Bull boys, as Djokovic now on the outside turns into the inside for turn 2. Is he going to be able to hang that around the outside? Yes, he is, but two are fighting away, and it's going to come down to turn 3 as well. Djokovic on the outside getting squeezed a bit by Spenclose. Might that have been a bit too much? We'll wait and see. Nasi's gone away cleanly, so has Squidge. Spenclose losing a position there on the start, but no major incident after the first corner on a wet surface as well. I'm actually really impressed by that. Any big losers, any big winners? Not really. No Locks down 3 positions, the biggest loser on the start as well as Samo Bamo. Biggest winner, Darren Style up 2 positions, so it's as well by Jamar. Spenclose at the moment is very close to Squidge 2017 as well. Might he try to do tack a little bit? No, because we have a virtual safety car. It is out for Ollie Jelly, who at the moment is parked on track. Worth pointing out as well, with the situation he was in, not allowed to reset the track in this league, or it would be a straight disqualification. So every situation you're in, you have to get out of manually. If you're stuck in the gravel trap, unfortunately, that is race over. Ooh, as Ginster just goes a bit aggressive on the brake. Everyone has to apply to a set delta, which Ollie Jelly is not going to really fancy at the moment. Being quite a way behind. Does he have front wing damage? Yes, he does. And it's going to be straight into the pits for Ollie Jelly. He's going to be hoping for this virtual safety car to stay out a bit longer. Oh, just struggling a little bit with the traction. Still in the virtual safety car then for about half a lap. I suspect we'll be going green in a couple of moments. We'll see when everyone starts speeding up again. As there we go. I believe we're nearing green flags. Yes, green flags has dropped no unnecessary penalties. Thankfully, everyone kept to the delta. Nasi leads the race by about a second over Squidge and Spenclose. Djokovic in P4, followed by Ondrcek in P5. On board with the NEF1 champion. He's being pressured from behind by his followed by Jamer at the moment. 2 temps is the gap. Needs to mind himself, needs to get past these guys of Djokovic and Spenclose as well if he wants to battle for the lead here. It's a situation where Nasi could quite easily build up an advantage, be able to maintain it throughout a race. Squidge at the moment not doing enough to try to stay with the runner-up from last season. Djokovic with a moment coming out of the chicane. Now, is that going to give Ondrcek a little look around the outside? These two are used to doing battle after last season. Ondrcek late on the brakes. Is he late enough on the brakes? No, Djokovic will just squeeze him on the exit. Stays ahead, and it's going to cost them valuable time. Battling on this game really costs you valuable time. As we can see there, drops back almost a second immediately from Spenclose. Interesting stuff this. So Squidge not getting good exit coming around the final corner. Now with a Spenclose, Djokovic, Ondrcek a little bit better. Fastest lap of the race set by Nasi. Hybrid is right in the back of Wigan. Might he fancy a little move? Probably not into turn 1, but maybe coming into turn 3 if he can get a little bit of a better exit, which he has been able to. Should be overtake enabled now, which you can use in a completely different way on this game. He's gaining and gaining and gaining down the inside into turn 3, and oh, late braking move. Oh, just a bit clumsy maybe on the brakes. Slight contact, but that is Hybrid 472K through into P8. Tricky conditions this, as everyone's basically just sliding a bit all over the place. Djokovic now coming up to the back of Spenclose. Spenclose at the moment, I don't know if he's actually being held up by his teammate here, Squidge 2017. Might they need to just do a switch in Red Bull? They can't at the moment, really. 10-second time penalty for Ollie Jelly for speeding in the pit lane. That's been massively increased as he's retired from the race as well. As Nasi is running away with this at the moment, 2 seconds ahead of Squidge. Not insurmountable, but about a second per racing lap. As there we go. How did I miss that? Djokovic just getting past. I was actually looking into the Discord. You'll have gotten a better view of that than I did. But Djokovic then, 2 positions, 1 corner. Spenclose, Squidge now getting intercepted by Ondrcek as well. What happened to the Red Bulls when I wasn't looking? Because that is massive for this race. Djokovic now up in P2, Spenclose in P3. He's battling for Ondrcek. Ondrcek actually getting past Squidge there for P5. Would look to be such a promising qualifying session for Squidge. Fell through a little bit in Q3 and now has fallen through completely in the Grand Prix. Has a lot of work to do, Squidge, at the moment. Jamar a full second behind them, however. The McLaren's running behind him, P7 and P8, followed by Wigan in P9, Darren in P10. Beatty's not had a good start to this race at the moment, down in P13, down 6 positions from its original race start. It's a decent exit that from Djokovic, who I believe is just slightly more comfortable in these wet conditions than Spenclose, than Ondrcek, than Squidge at the moment. Ondrcek, to be fair, is looking good so far. Still, the Red Bulls are not. Squidge is really struggling in these wet conditions, and I believe is going to maybe just be had by Jamer here. Not quite. But he is struggling. Ondrcek at the moment is on his way to making it same old in NEF1. The same top 3 on the podium, and it's got to be some sort of record now. See Djokovic and Ondrcek quite soon. If these 3 finish on the podium together again, that's got to be some sort of record if that's the case. Jamar now is being challenged by Nolox. Actually, I thought Jamar was challenging Nolox first. No, Nolox challenging Jamar. Former teammates challenging each other for P6. Jamar at the moment is winning out on that battle as ABT has gone past Ginster and making slight contact with the wall as well. Not fancying these track conditions. Oh, it's just struggling with the grip there. Ginster really cautious at the moment, but it is just a learning curve really, this race as things stand. Really just a learning curve. Gotta get used to how the cars handle, gotta get used to how they handle in the wet, but it would have been nice with a dry race here actually. Sondercheck a little bit unsettled going through the last corner there. I'm to be worried about. Nassis has once again the fastest lap at the Grand Prix, actually taken by Spenclose there. So Spenclose at the moment, fastest guy out on track. Breaking away from Undercheck a little bit on this lap, as the track conditions are noticeably starting to improve by the look of things. It is getting slightly faster and the rain is just decreasing ever so slightly. No real standing water out on track by the look of things, it's just damp. So we'll see if we soon start getting a dry line, and we might be transitioning over to a dry race. Jmar just makes a little bit of a mistake. No, Lars is going to be looking at that anxiously, thinking, when do I start going for a move? Sondertech is massively broken away from Squidge, now 2.9 seconds between them. Squidge at the moment having his race ruined by these little mistakes, and especially the track conditions. Not really what he would have fancied. And some inside information as well, I have driven with Squidge's setup, I would not fancy that on a wet track. As Jmar now has made a little bit of a mistake coming out of the chicane, is going to lose in quite a couple of positions from P6 all the way down to P9. Wigan then goes up to P8, No Larkson Hybrid takes P6 and P7 away from the RB. The other RB currently down in P11 at the moment, a little bit of a race on his own, but he's catching up to Darren Stahl, currently sitting in P10. Nassi, fastest lap at the Grand Prix yet again, 27.9, followed by Djokovic's 27.8. So the track is getting faster, and the rain looks now like it's stopped entirely. The track almost looks dry as well. I don't know if that's just a visual glitch. I'm sure it's still damp, but might we start seeing people coming into the pit lane in a couple of laps time for dry tires? I believe we are. It's been a wet start, but I believe, yeah, a beat is going into the pits. Dry tires going on. Dry tires going on the Mercedes of a BT, and a new front wing as well. Still looked very wet, the track, once he came out of the pit box. But let's see how those tires work now on this next lap for him. Are we going to see everyone just pile into the pit lane on this lap? Is the track drying that quick on this game, really? I don't believe it is, but look at that first corner. Still looks damp. Still very slight spray coming off the back of that Mercedes. There's still quite a bit of spray coming off those wheels. So I believe Nassi, will he stay out for another lap? Yes, he will. Spenclose should probably do the same. Yeah, everyone's staying out for another lap on intermediate tires. No one going bold as of yet. I don't believe it'll be worth it by another half a second gained on that lap from Nassi 31. The track is just getting better every single lap, and Nassi 6-second advantage. But this is crucial. He needs to get his pit lap bang on. A BT, by the look of things, has not. As my goodness, what was that with a beat? The car just absolutely went. Spenclose, Djokovic now doing battle, going through turn 5. Spenclose managing to hold on, defending beautifully at the moment from Djokovic. And this is the way you can defend, really, on this game. With the battery, you can't really be worn down the same way. You have to get past on pure skill. The strategy element is still there, but in a completely different way. You can't wait someone out. You have to outthink them lap by lap. Notice where someone's weaker, try to capitalize off that. Try to save battery where you can, and then attack with as much as you can. Oh, a sideways action from Djokovic there as we're heading on to the first straight again. as Djokovic elects to come into the pit lane. Surely, BT went onto the hard tyres. That was the complete wrong choice. Surely, Djokovic won't emulate it. A couple of people are now coming in. I would suspect medium tyre, not hard tyres going on. Hard tyres going on for Djokovic. Now, this is the crucial bit. Has Nasi stayed out one lap too long, or has Djokovic made a brilliant move there? He's been taken in the pits though, if I'm not mistaken. Behind BT in the pit lane, not Ondrejek in the pit lane. I thought Ondrejek stayed out. It's a little bit of a weird one. Medium tires going on for iWatts, which I believe is a better choice. Should be easier to fire up. Hybrid coming out as well. Medium tires. See how he tackles turn 1. It still looks very slippy out there. Looks very slippy out there. And the mediums, they're not producing slow lap times. I believe it's crossover period. But is it time for dries? See what kind of sector times Djokovic delivers on these hard ties in comparison to Ondrejek ahead of him. Is what we're crucially looking at. So this is the period that Nasi's going to be massively looking at and thinking, what can he do? As Ondrejek just then gets past Spenklos heading into turn 11. Down the inside, by the look of things, Spenklos unable to defend. Is Ondrejek now going to come into the pit lane? Yes, he is. So does Spenklos, as Nasi stays out for another lap. As what goes on the Mercedes. Hard tires trying to go to the end. Spenklos puts on hard tires. So a lot of hards out there on track. Let's see now. Djokovic should emerge in P3, I believe, in the middle of these two. So it's a net loss to Ondrejek, actually. He's gained time by staying out a little bit further, but he's not gained a lot. Virtual safety car, and this is going to massively benefit Nasi if he stays out for a lap. This could absolutely ruin anyone else's chances. Should push comes to shove. If this stays out for a lap now, as BT has retired from this race, I don't quite know what went on there. I would imagine an incident didn't quite seemingly like this track in wet conditions. This stays out for a lap, Nasi will have a 20-second lead approximately. 15-second lead at least. Quite a short pit lane around here as well. But he needs to take this opportunity to come in. Now that everyone behind him has done as well, Nasi needs to come in on this lap, and he will surely come in on this lap. Ginster ahead of him. Going a little bit wide. So Nasi Van heading into the pit lane will want to get going as quick as possible, but conditions still apply. There we go, DRS is enabled. Nasi now will want to get going as quick as possible. Now it's a rush down to the line. Ondrejek, that safety car would have had to come in, or virtual safety car would have had to come in a couple of moments later in order for any advantage to have been left there for Nasi. Now, coming out of the pit lane, it's going to be blue flags now for the Haas driver, but it's Ondrejek going to be able to squeeze ahead. No, he's not, because Ondrejek has made a mistake coming out of the last corner, which is going to cost him time. Goes sideways out of the final corner. Nasi still has the lead of this race, but on tyres that are not fired up, Djokovic might be able to gain a couple of seconds on him on this lap. He's going to be he's going to have a better understanding of where the grip is as well. So Ondrejek then down in P4 again, getting past the lap car of Ginster's. Had a difficult start to the race under the wet conditions. Now though, dry conditions will apply, everything's going to be a little bit easier for everyone to just settle into a rhythm. DRS should be enabled now as well, we'll see if it is. Yes it is. Which is going to allow for a different type of racing. Spenklos is now going to have to defend for his life if he wants to keep Ondrejek behind him. And this is a situation that Ondrzejczyk loved last season out, just sitting behind someone waiting to deplete their batteries and then using his to get past. Can't do that anymore really, because now you can recharge your battery over the course of a lap, but he might not have to use his battery, seeing that exit from Spenclose. Down in turn 1, Ondrzejczyk is going to have P3 away from Spenclose. It is the same old lineup in the top 3 positions of Nasi, Djokovic and Ondrzejczyk. Not no order that he was for most of the time last season, but Nasi, Djokovic and Ondrzejczyk still hold the podium places in iron fist here in NEF1. So then flying into turn 7. So then, a little bit of status quo now for a couple of laps. Probably nothing really going on as Ginst is actually retired from this race. I don't quite know where, however. Was it in the pit lane or was it anywhere else? No safety cars out, regardless. So that is both the Haas guys out of the running. Old Rips now sitting in P13, quite close to Darren Stahl, but then there's a big gap ahead of him. This race at the moment could use a safety car to spice things up. However, Ondrzejczyk starting to just deploy a little bit of that championship winning pace. Starting to deploy the pace, but is he going to be able to catch Djokovic? Still a very fast driver. Nasi at the moment maintaining the lead, 4.7 seconds is that gap. So he did lose out a little bit thanks to staying out an extra lap and the virtual safety car coming in at quite a bad time for him. But this is now really weird actually. No battles really going on throughout the top 11. Everyone's separated by 2 or 4 seconds basically. Djokovic now falling behind Nasi a little bit, 5 seconds the gap, and he's keeping Ondrzejczyk at bay. Okay, interesting race this at the moment, and let's just hope those hard tires fall off so we do have a little bit of strategy going into the final couple of laps here. We're actually going to have a look in just a moment what tire everyone is on, because I'm not quite sure at the moment. Everyone has made the pit stop. No Larks is on that medium tire. He should have to pit again, I'm not quite sure. Won't have to do so according to the rules, but those shouldn't last the entire 19 laps. He's asking hybrids as well, iWatts and Samo Bamo Darren Stahl in a similar position. So we'll see how they get on through this race. Ondrzejczyk just slightly catching Djokovic that lap, 2 seconds down to 2.1 again. But apart from that, I don't really have too much to offer you. Little Drips 2 seconds now behind Darren Stahl, and that's going to turn into a little bit more. Needs to get out of that gravel trap as well as Little Drips. He does get out of that gravel trap. Okay, so this might be turning into the least exciting NEF1 debut, or into the least exciting NEF1 season opener maybe we've ever had. No one is in striking range of anyone, and that usually does not happen. Is it a sign of things to come this race? Who knows? Or this season? Who knows? It's a different game, it's a different way of racing. Nasi goes fastest out of anyone, 22.779. And if there was ever a time for a safety car, now would be it. I'm sure Nasi's really enjoying this race at the moment, not being challenged and can just go about at his pace. Everyone else would absolutely love one, I'm sure. See how Squidge gets on in these dry conditions now as well. Conditions that he seemingly quite enjoyed in qualifying, and I know he enjoys this track as well. See if he just catching up a little bit here in the dry phases. 5 seconds at the moment behind. No Larks will keep an eye on that gap. How are things looking for a race lead event? NEF1 finished in the penultimate spot last season out, the worst spot that you can finish in any type of event, 2nd place. At the moment he's doing everything he can to just ensure the victory here in Australia, and he's going about it in a very relaxed way by the look of things, not really pressing it, but could be a grand slam. This pole position race win, led every lap if I'm not mistaken as well. Pole position, race win, fastest lap, and maybe led every lap. So it could be an absolute whitewash of the entire field to start the season, as he sets yet another fastest lap. And then not sticking with him, Ondrechek's losing time to Djokovic, who's losing time to Nasi. Interesting situation. This is a different type of race than what we had a couple of days ago behind closed doors in Spain. It's a very different type of race. So we'll go with an iWatts P10, improves his personal best by a couple of hundreds, going after Samo Bamo. iWatts currently running inside the points. Samo 2 seconds up the road, but still no battles going on. Squidge not closing in on no Larks particularly much over the last couple of laps as well. Gap remains 5 seconds, 5.1 even. It was 5 2 laps ago. So then, does anyone have a game or something we could play in chat? Please let me know if that is the case. Just name a game, really, we'll do it. It is a bit of a weird race. This is the first race on a new game as well. Everyone's going to be a little bit cautious, a little bit wary of any incidents that might happen. It is a tricky track to race this as well. Nasi 20.923. Really now starting to pick up the pace on the hard tyres. It seemingly works quite well. Yellow flags, I believe that's little drips just slowing down to let this go, potentially. So let's, I'm sorry little drips for this, but let's enjoy the overtake in a couple of corners time then probably, or a couple of minutes time. On Spenclose on, from Spenclose on little drips, might be coming up in a couple of corners just actually. Or actually this might actually trigger a bit of racing action. Spenclose having a relatively poor sector time in Sector 1, and it's bringing no Larks ever closer. .2 seconds, come on no Larks. 0.2 of a second and give us a battle. Let's go. No Larks in that McLaren as well. Just looks right for some reason. I don't know why. It just feels right he's in a McLaren. Every now and again you have those types of driver lineups. Nasi in a Ferrari, for example, one of them. Ondrechek in a Mercedes, it just fits. Djokovic going back to Aston Martin, and no Larks in that McLaren. For some reason it just kind of fits his vibe. I don't know why. Nasi 31, fastest lap yet again, and he's on a run of those at the moment. Ondrechek beats him with the fastest lap as well. If I'm not mistaken, that was a little bit of a margin as well. Yeah, 0.4 of a second quicker on that lap, Ondrechek. So is Ondrechek now just starting to close in on Djokovic a little bit, or did he deploy absolutely everything he had on that lap to try to get fastest lap away from him? Let's see how Nasi responds. See if he fancies that fastest lap as well. It's an extra point for the World Championship, keep that in mind. Squidge now still running into trouble, and now that's going to bring Hybrid into play as well. Squidge is not enjoying this race. The favorite role that I put on him towards the beginning of this race, it's not working out for him at the moment. Said ahead of this race, the Squidge might be in contention for the win. Right now, looks like he might not be able to finish in the top 5. Killer Cod saying, go on mate, you've got this. I'm not quite sure who he's saying it to. See if we can get some confirmation on that. As Hybrid now, finally, we have some racing action. He's within DRS range of Squidge 2017, and have a Rudy Fils celebrating a driver driving relatively poorly at Squidge 2017. He's going to give us some bit of racing action in a couple of moments, I reckon. Djokovic goes fastest out of anyone. 120.126 is now the fastest lap if Nasi wants to have a go at it. But at the moment, he's just managing his pace beautifully, Nasi up front. 25 points at the moment, heading towards the Scuderia. The second Scuderia Ferrari driver should be back next week. And it's none other than Matty MC16, or Matty Adam 16, as he's now going to be referred to on stream. So keep track of that. Same driver. Yellow flags in Sector 1. That is Little Drips, who's had an issue going through turn 3. Looked eerie similar to a Mercedes, that green colour for some reason. Even though Undercheck is on the other side of the track. As here we go, Hybrid right now very much on the back of Squidge. Let's see how this plays out. DRS is enabled. Down the run chicane, medium versus hard tyres. Squidge just braking a little bit earlier. Now, is he going to be able to have a rebound down the next straight? No DRS though. Might have to save that battery in order to go again. Nasi 19.484 just responds with a fastest lap. And Nasi, at the moment, this race is in a situation where he evidently can set fastest laps at will, which is seriously impressive. It is seriously impressive. Also, thanks Killicod for the follow. Much obliged. Much obliged. Here we go then, Squidge v Hybrid, take 2. Letting DRS do its work, but just waiting a little bit with the rest of it. Just gonna see how Hybrid recharges its battery now through this this section where he doesn't really have to deploy much because not an overtaking spot. Just want to salvage as much as you can before heading on to this section now. We will have to defend. Little Drips has retired from this session in the pit lane as well. That's going to be a slam dunk penalty. Not allowed to retire under those types of circumstances. And we are down to 12 runners in the opening Grand Prix of the season, as Squidge has now been able to get past Hybrid. Undercheck now, another fastest lap, 19.447, Squidge 2017, struggling, so is Hybrid coming out of the penultimate corner. Now, is Wigan going to be able to catch up to him? He's going to get closer for sure, but he has a 3-second time penalty for track limits infractions. Hybrid coming into the pit lane, however, for a new set of tyres. I believe it's going to be softs going on that McLaren, which might take any chance of a fastest lap point away from the front guys. No, medium tyres going on. Which, to be fair, also could take any chance of a fastest lap point away from the top 3. But that's taken the edge of this race even more, because, well, just look at the cars and how they're spread out at the moment. Basically, none are even in the same corner at the moment. The only... Yeah, Sam Obama, 1.8 seconds behind Wigan, is the closest battle we have right now. So, bit of a different type of race here around Australia. Usually had incredibly intense racing last season out. Quite a big difference on this game, as we have received an application to join NEF1 as well. If someone is in the stream, I'll be going over that as soon as the race ends and just dropping you a message. Hopefully we can get you in. Seemingly used like link is coming from our Twitch channel as well, so we'll hope to get you in, and it's going to be really fun. So let's see then. Sam Obama, Wigan 71, 1.7, 1.6 seconds now the gap. But nothing else really going on. Nasi, Djokovic and Ondrejek, your top 3 once again. The more things change, the more they stay the same. And I'm sure Djokovic is going to be somewhat relieved by this. Not the fact that he's 7.2 seconds down on Nasi and dropping, but the fact that he still has the pace, especially to keep Ondrejek's bay as well. But to run with the front runners. He was not excited about this race earlier on, but the pace is there. Pace and potential. So Samo Bamo, 1.4 seconds now behind Wigan in closing. Would be for just a position on track, because penalties do apply. And if we just have a look, 3-second time penalty for Wigan, 6-second time penalty for by Jamar. Would also see him behind Hybrid. Iwat at the moment not quite close enough to score any type of points here. Needs to close up to Hybrid by Bob too much. Check 2.7 now behind Djokovic. So then, at least the drivers are getting uninterrupted laps through this Grand Prix. It's a bit of a different one, bit of a weird one. Samo Bamo, P8 at the moment, scoring points here at Australia. Yet again, a decent comeback to NEF1 after he suffered massive connection issues hindering him for most of last season. Maybe a season of what could have been last season for Samo Bamo had he been able to race. It's going to be a couple of points coming home to Williams as things stand, and a very decent start to the season. Worth pointing out as well, towards those latter laps of the Grand Prix, anyone can come in for a new set of tyres and go at the fastest lap point, even if they're outside the top 10. So Iwat and Darren, really nothing to lose, might be heading in for a set of softs in just a lap or two. As here we go, Samo now within a second of Wigan is able to open that rear wing. Just going to pull himself a little bit closer and start thinking about the move. Undercheck is actually quite rapidly closing on Djokovic at the moment. I know Undercheck just set the fastest lap at the Grand Prix. That didn't go unnoticed. Didn't mention it. It's been flying around that fastest lap this Grand Prix. Let's just say that. But Undercheck at the moment with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, closed in quite significantly on Djokovic. Let's see if he can keep that going, because he's not out of time really. Needs to get 1.2 seconds closer, and he gets that DRS to pull him even further along. So that DRS is going to work its magic on Wigan, I'm quite sure, quite soon. As here we go. That's what overtake does to a person on this game. There's no point in even trying to defend it. Have to think strategically about placing your car in defense. And there's been a problem for a Red Bull driver. Squidge 2017, his day's gone from bad to worse after an issue in the chicane. Now down to P8. Does he need a front wing? Yes, he might. Might he be able to hold on for the last couple of laps? We'll see how significant that front wing damage is, because a pit stop at this stage could be race ruining. He's coming in. He's coming in. Surely it's got to be for a set of softs though, which means fastest lap point should really go to Squidge, deemed off his qualifying pace. We've had something else with Spenclose in the pit lane for a set of soft tyres. What's going on there? I don't know what's going on, but both the Red Bulls in the pit lane on the same lap, and I believe Spenclose, was he perhaps on a set of mediums? Is the mediums falling off that significantly that they're starting to trigger mistakes? I'm not sure, because I've not properly kept track of it this race. I completely forgot there was a factor. But we'll keep an eye on No Larks. At the moment though, 17 seconds off the podium. Hybrid 472K now round the back of SFOY Jamer. It's actually bringing us some racing. This Hybrid gets past Jamer. To be fair, it's not too much exciting racing action. Not too much Jamer can do about that. Through the chicane, you can just see the kind of time that Hybrid's pulling out on him. On what I believe is fresher tyres now as well, and Jamer can't do much about it. Squidge still in the points, crucially enough for him. So is Spenclose. Now he'll have a couple of laps to just try damage limitation. He's Samo might just be in reach for Spenclose if he pulls this off, and P5 could be possible here, which would still be way below where he started. Hybrid 472K gets a 3-second time penalty for didn't he? Might have been someone else. Forgive me if I misspoke there. Squidge, sorry, was it? They got a 3-second time penalty. Not Hybrid, Squidge 2017. For track limits and validations, which isn't going to matter. He's not battling for position really anyways. Apart for the fastest lap point, and to be fair, P10 on track, which at the moment belongs to iWatts. Has a couple of laps to stretch that advantage another second though. Unfortunately, I believe that means for Nasi that the fastest lap point is gone. Has a very slim chance of making that work. So then Hybrid, oh sorry, not Hybrid, Spenclose, my commentary's all over the place as well. Spenclose, fastest lap at the Grand Prix, and he closes in on Wigan, who just gets up off the smoke heading into the final, or into the first corner. Again, the commentary hiccups, it's not going well. Spenclose just, I think that's a glitch as well from Wigan. I think he runs ABS on, if I'm not mistaken. Spenclose just closing in on Wigan a little bit, and now looks primed to take that position away, maybe even into the next corner. Now it's just going to wait a little bit. But that still has time to get closer to Samo, but it's going to be difficult. Now needs to get past Wigan on this straight, and he will. Not too much Wigan's going to be able to do about it, especially when DRS enables. Spenclose takes P6 away from Wigan. Now Wigan's focus is going to be on keeping Hybrid at least 3 seconds behind him for the next 2 laps. Nasi on lap 28 out of 29 then is controlling this race beautifully from Djokovic. It's about 8 seconds behind him. Ondrejek with a gap there to actually go into the pit lane for a set of soft tires. Judged beautifully by Ondrejek there. He knew how much time a pit stop would take. And yeah, it should be a fast lap point maybe for Ondrejek now as well. Thinking long term, no losses, but it's brought Nolok significantly closer. He'll be frustrated with that. I believe that's an AI controlled car of Darren's style maybe as well. No, he suffered from some hardware issue. It's a traditional first race of the season, this, in the way that a lot of issues for a couple of guys, bit of a weird race. Should even itself out for the next couple of rounds of the championship. But what I think we can confirm now is that Nasi is going to be starting the season in similar form to the way he ended the last one, with a win here in Australia. It's going to be a really good race for him, this. 25 points coming home to the Scuderia, and the championship lead to Nasi 31 come a couple of corners time. Ondrejek at the moment, surely gonna go fastest lap out of anyone. I'd be surprised if it doesn't. Spenclose has been able to close in on Sam Obama and get past him as well. Worth pointing out, Hybrid has been able to get within 3 seconds of Wigan as well, but he makes a little bit of a mistake. We're gonna lose a bit of time. But Nasi, honestly, what a race. Very good qualifying session. Took pole by, I think, it was 0.6 of a second, if I'm not mistaken. And now, ever since the race started in the wet conditions, just controlled it from lap 1, broke away, even in the dry conditions as well, didn't let anyone get near him, and it's been a victory that he's not really used to in this controlling of a fashion. Nasi has been unchallenged for the entirety of the Australian Grand Prix. He's led every single lap from start to finish, and he's gonna come home to take the championship lead and to take the Australian Grand Prix from Djokovic, who's gonna come home to finish a P2 and take P2 in the standings as well. He's gonna be happy with this result. Ondrejek is on his way to his fastest lap of the Grand Prix, I'm sure, on that soft, unless he makes an error. He's taken 5 seconds out of Nolox in the last 2 laps. I doubt an error is coming. The fastest lap goes to Ondrejek for this Grand Prix, I'm sure. P3, bit of a disappointing race for him, I'm sure, after his Q2 pace, but still a very decent race regardless. P3 in the race, P3 in the standings for the reigning champion. Nolarks with a big surprise there, maybe even after qualifying in P4, having outraced really both Red Bulls. Spenklos and Squidge running a horrid time, both of them. So it's P5 for Spenklos, P6 for Samo Bamo, welcome back to NEF1, we say to him. P7 for Hybrid, decent result that for McLaren's going to carry them, maybe even up to the second and third in the Constructors' Championship. Decent result for Wigan, 4 points coming home to Aston Martin. 2 points for RB for Asvalwai Jamar, followed by 1 sole point, maybe... Yeah, it is going to be 1 sole point for Squidge 2017, who tried pushing it too hard out of the last corner. It's been a horrid race for Squidge. This could have maybe, just on pace, actually won it to challenge for the podium. Nothing better than P10 did for the Red Bull driver. But it's all eyes towards that Ferrari. Nasi 31 takes the win and takes the lead of the championship. And then all smiles for the new championship leader. Not unpredictable, but maybe a bit of a surprise, really, especially in the way in which he won this race. Yeah, brilliant controlling performance all the way through. Never looked in doubt. Nasi 31, if he wasn't a championship favourite already, certainly established a major grasp of that favouritism now. Nasi 31 takes the Australian Grand Prix, and he takes it from Djokovic and Ondercek. It's the same old podium from last season, but it is a very different tale come the end of this race, as Nasi takes it by 9 seconds in the end there, 25 points over Djokovic's 18. So I've just got to get this up as well. For the strategies, quite a fair few pit stops for a couple of the lads. Ondercek in P3, followed by Nolark, Spenklo, Samo, Hybrid, Wigan, Jamar, Squidge takes your top 10 finishes. Iwas and Darren finishing outside the points, P11 and P12. A couple of people DNFing from this race, unfortunately, hoping to show a better performance next week out, which is going to take place around the Bahrain International Circuit in Sakir. Until then, it's been an interesting first race. I'm not going to say it's been overly exciting, because it hasn't, but it's been an interesting first round of the championship. Nasi Van with an iron grip of the Australia circuit, of the Australian Grand Prix. Until next week out in Bahrain, we will see you then. See how things change in yet another week of learning this game, really, as most people still will be. Until then, stay safe everyone, have a good one. I will see you in a week's time for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Peace out.